Hi guys, I'm Leffen and I'm here to talk to you about what I think is my most career-defining moment. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Geico for making this video possible. Now, this moment isn't necessarily going to be what everyone expects. I think a lot of people expected me to put my Evo win here. But for me, this is just way more important. This is what kickstarted my career, made me truly confident that I could do this. You know, what I've been doing for so many years is actually going to pay off. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. All right, so my number one moment is maybe not a win that a lot of people remember, but it's my first big win. It's more about, you know, the story, the journey, what went through my head and my life in the past, and kind of my journey here rather than the specifics. But it's also how I played, obviously. Throughout my competitive career, it was always about me versus Armada. Armada was, even when I started, he was one of the absolute best players, right? He got second at Genesis before I even started. You know, every tournament that I went to, most of them were Swedish tournaments. And what ended up happening was basically, it was a fight. Who could even take a game of Armada? Did he lose a game this time? You know, did someone get close to taking a game? It was never even really a question about would someone win against him. Yeah, I was never actually able to beat him, right? I ran into him every time, usually 2 sets. I think my score line was maybe, you know, 0-20, 0-25. I've lost 25 straight sets. What ended up happening was I got really close the year before. I was up, we played best of 7 sets, and I went up 3-2. And I was 1 hit away, but I barely ended up losing it. Just barely. And then what happened was there was a big controversy. And this, again, this is a story for a different time. I could have a whole book about this, but I ended up getting banned from going to tournaments for 1 year. And just to be clear, me and Armada are good friends now. You know, there's no bad blood left, but one of the people that were heading it was Armada. So there was a lot of bad blood. At this very moment, there was a lot of bad blood. Beast was my first actual big tournament left. I mean, big tournament, truly back. And been one of those tournaments, right? Like, I had never really beat Armada. I'd been close. I've never had the opportunity. Could I finally do it? For the full year when I was banned, I wasn't able to play Melee, right? And so what I actually ended up doing was I ended up playing Marvel, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You know, met some great people. Met a guy called Bubblan AB7, plays Marvel, who was the best in Europe at that game, and I actually ended up moving in with him. So he was my roommate. He was kind of my sensei. You know, he taught me things. He wasn't necessarily more accomplished in that sense, but he was a lot more experienced. And he was, you know, he knew my weaknesses. He could understand my tendencies and like, what do I usually do in fighting games? You know, I wasn't the best at Marvel, but I quickly became good in that game. And through playing that game, I like learned a lot about myself, what I wanted to do. And so even though, you know, I wasn't able to play Melee, I still learned probably more about myself as a fighting game player than any other year in that 1 year. And, you know, again, I'm not gonna go too much into this, but this was a year where I was very depressed. I had gone through a lot of things in the past, which, you know, was related to my ban and stuff like that. Yeah, I just really didn't know what to do with life, right? I was very lost. Things finally started picking back up when I got myself a job. I started working at a I started working at a grocery store in my city. You know, moved in with Bubblan, started playing more Marvel, and slowly but surely, I started getting, you know, my head right in the right mindset. Started learning, started growing up a little bit, because I was always a good player, but I was never an amazing competitor, and I wasn't good at understanding myself, I think. So this set, right, and this tournament was kind of my comeback story. I was dead set on trying to win. No one in Europe had beaten Armada for, I think, so many years. Like, it's been very long time since anyone beat him at this tournament at that point. And he always played Peach, right? So in the first set, you actually see me 3-0 him. Like, again, I had never even taken a set before, so this was massive at the time. I was so cocky back then. You can see me, I'm smirking. I'm very confident. He gets a coach in, start typing on the phone, you know, it's not letting me know what they're saying. And what ended up happening was that Armada, for the first time, he went Fox, and we did a Fox mirror. And Armada, you know, I think he wasn't quite ready this time. It wasn't, you know, something he planned, but he was just getting so outplayed with Peach that he thought this was necessary. He ended up suiciding. I taunted, you know, I knew it, tried to get into his head. It was a pretty crazy, you know, Fox ditto. It was kind of back and forth, but I was still significantly better at that time. You know, it wasn't his main, so I guess not too big of a surprise. So win the first match 2 stocks, win the second one as well. The third game, I actually died due to a suicide here. I died twice actually, I think, in a really weird fashion. You know, I lose this game 3 stocks to 0. And for the last match, we went FD. I played really good, like incredible for the time. Armada ends up suiciding, but it was a high percent. It was one cool combo, I remember. Like this gameplay is kind of ancient. You know, this was like, what, 2014? Yeah, this combo. Get the shine into the down smash. But yeah, it was really, you know, not quite impressive gameplay wise, but it was very impressive for myself. You know, as we see, we end up winning here. I think the biggest thing that this taught me, it really made me understand and appreciate the big mental part of esports and, you know, competing in general. Throughout earlier in my Smash career, I was always like, you know, what can I do to win this one situation? What can I do to, you know, get a little bit more technical? Never ever did I think, what can I do to, you know, keep myself together? What can I learn about myself? And I think that was the big thing, that throughout that year, I learned more than any other year about myself when I was banned, when I was playing the early games, trying out different things. For me, it's also, you know, what made me fully realize, like I'd been in top players before, but I'd never been in Armada. I never won any big tournament. To really realize that, you know, I can do this. I can be the very best. I always knew it in my head, but I think I finally proved it to everyone else at that point. And, you know, it's still, you know, a confirmation for myself. I remember saying this. I think I'd beaten HBox at this point. I'd beaten Armada now. So I remember writing, this was back on Facebook, before Twitter. I remember typing and tagging like Mewtwo King, like Jason Zimmerman on Facebook, tagged Mango, tagged PPMD, and I was like, I'm coming for you guys. And I think that's also what started my whole like journey of like becoming the God Slayer, like trying to beat all the 5 gods as they call them. And yeah, it was just a really big moment for me. Overcame like my biggest problem, which was myself, I think, even more than any other opponent. And I beat my, you know, I took a set from Armada, my long-term rival, for the very first time, and not only 1 but 2 sets, and in a dominant fashion. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully the entire series. I really enjoyed talking about these moments, these small glimpses in my career, and just giving you guys my perspective on what I thought during the matches, what I thought they mattered, and how I think they affected. I don't usually give myself the pleasure of watching my wins. I rather rewatch my losses, just, you know, as a thing to keep myself more motivated. But this was a really nice time to rewatch them and reminisce a little bit. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, then you can click a link for the playlist, or you can find all of them on TSM's YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you around.